Welcome to our exhibit, Texas as Art. This video includes the artwork and information about the exhibit. You can stop the video at any time to spend more time on any slide in the show. Texas as Art is a traveling art exhibit designed to engage the public with satellite imagery showing Texas landscapes, ecoregions, geology, and natural resources as works of art. Imagery from the Landsat satellites, observing our world for almost 150 years, is enabling protection and management of our natural resources. The exhibit has two themes. The first is to show Texas natural ecoregions and the human footprint on our natural landscape. The second is to connect us to our state parks, historic areas, natural areas, and wildlife management areas that are scientifically managed, conserved, and restored by the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. Support for this exhibit was provided through the America View Consortium with funding from the United States Geological Survey. The Texas View Consortium consists of 12 university partners distributed across the state. Each institution teaches students how to use satellite imagery and geospatial technologies to manage our state's resources. I'm Rebecca L. Dodge, and I am an Emeritus Associate Professor of Geosciences at Midwestern State University in Wichita Falls, Texas. I'm also the lead investigator on the Texas View Grant. My interest in West Texas ecoregions began at my geology summer field camp in the Marathon Basin of West Texas, shown on this slide. And it's based on personal encounters within the ecoregion with plants and animals, such as sharp cacti, curious javelina, and vultures. We spent 6 days a week for 6 weeks in the field mapping the Marathon Basin geology with side trips to the Davis Mountains to the north, the Glass Mountains to the northeast, and Big Bend National Park to the south. We stayed at Sul-Ross State University in Alpine. For each of the images in the exhibit, this video will show a location map like this with some local highlights, and links to Texas Park and Wildlife videos about the ecoregions in the area shown. You'll also find a link for the individual state-managed lands, such as state parks, that anchor many of the scenes. I will let you pause the video at your choosing to read the information for yourself. This emphasizes the purpose of the exhibit, which goes beyond art to engage you with our state's public lands. I'll also be showing you location maps for groups of scenes, like the following slide. These maps were produced by Teresa Howard, my Texas View co-investigator, and the Texas View partner at University of Texas at Austin's Center for Space Research. Each of the scenes embedded in the location maps have state-managed land within the scene. We're going to start out close to home with a scene from the Midland-Odessa area showing the Monaghan Sandhills State Park. Then we'll move towards the east on I-20 to scenes with Lake Colorado City State Park and Abilene State Park. Finally, in this group, we'll head southwest to San Angelo State Park. These location maps show the natural color of the landscape as seen from satellites. There's not a lot of contrast or color. Fortunately, the Landsat satellite records wavelengths of light that human eyes can't see, infrared wavelengths. I've used those wavelengths to give you an artist's view of Texas. The color variations you'll see result from different vegetation, soils, and rocks in each landscape. Monaghan Sandhills State Park is the anchor for this scene, imaged on July 20th of 2019. Remember to pause the video here if you want to read these details and capture the website links. We can see bright green vegetation signatures from lawns, trees, and golf courses in Midland and Odessa. The only other large swaths of green in this scene are along the Pecos River to the south, within the valley of the river itself. We can see the dune field that hosts Monaghan Sandhills State Park north of I-20. If you look closely, in the scene south of Midland and Odessa, you will see hundreds of tiny white spots that mark well sites within the Permian Basin's numerous oil and gas fields. As we travel eastward on I-20, we pass through Big Spring and reach Colorado City. Lake Colorado City State Park is the anchor for this scene, imaged on April 8, 2019. This early in the year, most of the agricultural fields are still bare earth and show up as bright red in the rectangular patchwork patterns in this part of the scene. There are some fields that have been planted, and these green rectangles are showing vegetation. The rest of the vegetation in the scene is in river valleys and also shows up in green. The anchor for this scene is Abilene State Park, south of the city of Abilene. This scene is also from April 8th of 2019. Again, there is a mix of bare and planted agricultural fields in the scene. The Callahan Divide, in this part of the scene, this uplifted area, is largely covered with grass and scattered trees. San Angelo State Park is the anchor for this scene. It uses different infrared wavelengths than the previous scenes, and in this case, what we're going to see is that the bare fields show up in shades of brown, red, and beige. But vegetation, such as that concentrated along the Concho River flowing into the city of San Angelo, is still green. Let's reverse direction. We're going to head towards New Mexico. Along the way, we will encounter the Sierra Diablo Wildlife Management Area, and as we reach El Paso, we'll find Franklin Mountains State Park. The Sierra Diablo Wildlife Management in this mountain range was established in 1945 as a sanctuary for the last remaining desert bighorn sheep in Texas. It anchors this scene, which was imaged in November of 2011. The Wildlife Management Area lies to the west of the Salt Basin, which trends through the scene towards the north-northwest. In this scene, a playa lake is filling part of the Salt Basin after a recent rainfall event. Most of the year, the playa lake is dry and covered with evaporative deposits of salt and gypsum. Bright green circles in the northwest corner are centripivot irrigation fields filled with vegetation. The Guadalupe Mountains enter the scene from the north, and they are darker green in color associated with trees. Franklin Mountain State Park anchors this scene, imaged in March of 2020. The city of El Paso, the east side and the west side, is bisected by the Franklin Mountains and bordered on the west by the valley of the Rio Grande that extends into New Mexico through the city of Las Cruces, located here. Numerous extinct volcanoes dot the image on the west side. We're moving on to the Panhandle and to Paladura Canyon and Caprock Canyon State Parks, southeast of the city of Amarillo. When the National Park Service began to consider establishing a really big canyon national park, Palo Duro went head-to-head in the competition against the Grand Canyon. We know how that competition worked out, but we ended up with two lovely state parks in the canyon. Caprock Canyon State Park anchors this scene, taken on May 5th of 2019. We see planted agricultural fields in green, bare fields in shades of brown and pink, and a lot of scattered small lakes that are on the plateau above the canyon on the west side. These lakes periodically fill with water, as we see here, after rainfall events. Then they dry up and become salt flats for most of the year. Palo Duro Canyon State Park is located in the canyon near the head of the canyon in this scene, imaged on May 5th of 2019. We see again the mix of planted and bare agricultural fields in the rectangular patterns on the plateau outside the canyon, along with the same small lakes as in the previous scene on the plateau. You shouldn't be surprised that we're headed back to the Davis Mountains Big Bend area. This is where my heart lies. The geo and biodiversity there are amazing. The very first scene we saw contained the city of Alpine. Now we're going to see 4 more that include the Davis Mountains and Big Bend Ranch State Parks and the Chenati Mountains Natural Area, also the Elephant Mountains Wildlife Management Area. Davis Mountain State Park anchors this scene, imaged on June 1st, 1993. The Davis Mountains are emerald green amidst the surrounding desert landscape. Ghostly circles in the center of the scene mark unplanted center pivot irrigation fields. In this and other scenes, color variations are related again to different rock types, soil types, and vegetation types. The Chenati Mountain State Natural Area is under development as a state park, preserving Trans-Pecos ecoregion plant and animal diversity. This scene was imaged on July 5th, 2011. I'm going to show you another color version in the next slide, and in this case, the Rio Grande River, which flows through the scene here, the vegetation turns out pink. Elephant Mountain Wildlife Management Area is designed for conservation and development of the desert bighorn sheep species and its habitat. The scene was imaged on July 5th, 2011. In 2011, the entire state of Texas was in the middle of a years-long drought and under extreme fire risk. The Cienega Mountains in the top center of the scene are brick red, and this indicates a very recent wildfire event. Big Bend Ranch State Park anchors this scene, imaged May 3rd, 1994. The geologic diversity in this scene is spectacular. We have dramatically folded mountains, volcanic deposits, and a domal uplift related to igneous intrusion. The circular feature here is the Solitario Dome, one of the biggest laccoliths in the entire world. The Rio Grande flows diagonally through the scene, and the cities of Presidio and Ojinaga lie on opposite sides of the Mexico-U.S. border. We're ending up on the home grounds of Midwestern State University, the lead institution in the Texas View Consortium. Lake Arrowhead State Park anchors this scene, taken in April of 2009. This was during the most recent severe drought period in Texas, during which many wildfires hit the state hard. Multiple wildfire scars mark this scene, showing up in a brick red tone, seen here, here, and the largest wildfire scar shows that the fire burned right up to the edge of Lake Arrowhead, narrowly missing the state park infrastructure on the northwest corner of the lake. Later in the drought period in 2011, Lake Arrowhead dried up to 1/3 its normal size. Lake Wichita, located to the south of Wichita Falls, almost totally dried up during this time period. We've taken a tour of almost half the state of Texas. Thank you for your interest in our exhibit. If you have any questions, you can contact me at the email shown here.